Into the closing stages then of the German Grand Prix. You've missed nothing. Juan Montoya is still leading by 50 seconds from Trulli, Michael Schumacher and Coulthard, who are together on the racetrack. There they are. Coulthard has not got particularly close to the back yet of Michael Schumacher. One particular occasion he just began to look as though he was, but it's all spaced out again a little bit now. And in terms of the actual relative pace, that last lap, 0.4 of a second faster for Coulthard. This is the closest he's been then, right up the back of Michael Schumacher into the hairpin. They stretch out again a little bit more on acceleration, but this is going to be a real harem-scarum finish here at Hockenheim.
Well, Jarno Trulli has definitely got blistered rear tyres. You can see the different coloration across the surface. That's why he's beginning to struggle under braking. Michael is faster under braking, Coulthard faster than the pair of them, but at the moment they just can't break through this turbulent air that behind the Renault and get close enough to have a go. But the other problem is when you're in that turbulent air, you tend to slide more and you hurt your tyres much earlier. That's what's going on to a certain extent with Coulthard and Michael Schumacher. But there then is the view of the fight from the back of the three cars heading down into turn one. Ooh, mind those cones on the inside, David. You'll damage the front wing, but you've got to get very close to them. And once again then, and Villeneuve not really noticing that Coulthard was there. That cost him. It was Jenson Button, I think, who's a good friend of David Coulthard. He didn't realise that Coulthard, I think, was part of that train and just compromised him a little bit. Look at those blisters. As Schumacher has a go down the right-hand side. Can he make it stick? The crowd are up on their feet. No, he can't. Trulli resists. Will Coulthard be able to capitalise? Comes up on the inside. No, he wasn't close enough. Button there as well, watching from the background. And now Schumacher's had to go around the outside, and he's got him. Michael Schumacher up into second place. Yes, he got better traction out there on the runoff area. What on earth was going on there? And what a pity for David Coulthard that he got held up by that BAR, because he would have been right in the action, and he just lost a bit of ground. Michael, incredibly, getting better traction out on the dusty apron, runoff apron there, and that helps him enormously in the championship and also gives him a car between himself and Coulthard. Coulthard's got to get in front of the Ferrari to help his teammate. And just listen to the response here of this enormous crowd here at Hockenheim. Well over 100,000 people cheering on Michael Schumacher. 12 months ago they cheered him on to victory, a celebration party for his 5th World Championship. Today, I think their expectations were a little bit more under control when they saw the pace of the BMW Williams of Juan Montoya and Ralf Schumacher. Perhaps they thought third was the best they could do today. He's up to second, and this is how he did it. Yeah, so he went down the outside. Trulli did the only sensible thing and just ran him clean off the road. But with his blistered rear tyres, he didn't have enough traction. And Coulthard's had a go. I thought they were going to touch there briefly. And Coulthard also has had a go, and they're still side by side. Coulthard didn't use any racetrack going down there. He never made it to the racetrack. Trulli wouldn't let him back on. Trulli's run wide this time, and Coulthard goes through then. Coulthard up into third place. Jarno Trulli, in the space of a lap, goes from second down into fourth place. Those rear tyres, we saw, as Martin pointed out on the rearward shot, are blistered on the Renault. It's costing him dearly. You can see the right rear tyre there of the Renault. And Coulthard now has a chance to have a crack at Michael Schumacher for second place. But Michael's scampered away. Trulli can barely keep the car on the road. He just dropped it off the road again on the exit of the Sachs curve, right in the back of the shot. But let's see. Coulthard, 3.1 seconds adrift. And this was the overtake of Michael. And there, look, Trulli running him wide, but Michael getting the car nice and straight early on and just drove himself back on the racetrack. Somewhat wiser next time around, Trulli wouldn't let Coulthard back in. And here we go again. And he got a better slingshot out of the corner, and off he goes into second place to the delight of the team. Yes, a lot of passion here at Hockenheim. Everybody wanting to see the great racing. And there you can see an aerial shot of Coulthard and Trulli. Yes, and that's Trulli. I think his front tyres are just as worn out as his rear tyres. Remember, Renault went for the softer Michelin, is my information, and it's certainly, as they've chosen to change strategy, make it a two-stopper with a very long final stint. Now they're paying the price. Ted.
Well, Martin, absolutely. That was the answer that all the Michelin teams were looking at. Which was the tyre to go for? It was the Michelin hard tyre that David Coulthard on. Jarno Trulli suffering with blisters on the soft tyre. Renault are usually very easy on their tyres. They thought they could make it last, but not in this heat. No way.
No way indeed. Coulthard now just 2.7 seconds behind Michael Schumacher and closing quite quickly, so it's not over yet.
It's certainly not over yet. This is lap 62 of 67. And barring any misfortunes, Juan Montoya on target for his second victory of the season. But he'll be miffed to find that Michael Schumacher has gained another couple of points in the World Championship by getting up into second place. He could do with Coulthard passing Michael Schumacher. And there is the Scotsman as Michael Schumacher closes in on the back of Nicholas Chiesa on his debut for Minardi. The 25-year-old Danish driver gets out of the way of Michael Schumacher. Will he hopefully get out of the way of Coulthard as well? And yes, Montoya would dearly love Coulthard to pass Michael Schumacher. Just take a couple more points off him.
Would indeed. That's the gap. Coulthard's got to close down, and there's not too many laps to do it. Chiesa sensibly getting out of the way. He'll be doing his tyres no good at all. They're running so far off the racing line. But he clearly just wants to get to the end and not spoil anybody else's race. Usually you've got to drive. When you get a bit more experience, you've got to drive your own race too. That's the gap then. What is it this time? Coulthard's taken some 6/10 out of Michael Schumacher on that lap. So now it's down to just over 2 seconds. There is enough time to catch him. Is there enough time to pass him?
4 more laps to go then in the German Grand Prix of this 2.85-mile circuit. Just over 10 miles then in which David Coulthard has to try and pass Michael Schumacher for second place and to really do himself an awful lot of favours after a lot of criticism recently for David Coulthard, some of it warranted, some of it unwarranted. He has a point to prove, but Schumacher's got a puncture. Schumacher's left rear tyre has exploded. You can see it's gone flat. Coulthard has passed him. Trulli will pass him. There he is. Alonso will pass him as well. Jenson Button goes round. Webber goes round. Alonso goes round. Chiesa goes round. And the points just disappear out of the door for Michael Schumacher. What an amazing turnaround.
Well, the carcass is staying on at the moment. It's not ripping the bodywork or the rear wing. He's got to sort of press on, otherwise he'll lose more points. Long way to go yet, James. He's got to get all the way down and through the stadium. He's just got to hope the carcass stays on and doesn't start flailing around, breaking up the bodywork. Ross Brawn there, ready to have a look and see if there's been any further damage. And Kimi Räikkönen, that'll fix the bruise on his leg. He'll be leaping up and down in whichever medical centre he's just leaving.
He won't be able to believe it, and he's got the 2 Toyotas now that are going to go past him as well. Panis is 6th. There's Ross Brawn talking to Michael Schumacher. Panis is 6th, De Matter is 7th, and Button is 8th. And now Panis is going round the outside of Michael Schumacher. You can see on your pictures. So that's Schumacher down into 6th place. And as he pits, then De Matter will go past him and so will Button. And Michael Schumacher will be out of the points here at Hockenheim.
You know, it's not sure where it happened, but I tell you something, if you run so wide as he did down at the hairpin when he passed Jarno Trulli, you risk picking up a lot of rubbish out there, and I wouldn't mind betting that's where he picked that puncture up, in the move where he was way off the racetrack, then a bit of grass as he passed Jarno Trulli.
Well, we believe that he's dropped down to at least 8th place, possibly 9th now, as Michael Schumacher. Montoya leads, Coulthard is 2nd, Trulli is 3rd, Alonso 4th, Panis is 5th and De Matter 6th. A super day on the cards here for Toyota. And Michael Schumacher, is he ahead of Jenson Button or isn't he for 7th place?
He should be, but what about Montoya then? What does this do for his championship chances, James? It really slingshots him right up there within, as you said, just a few points of Michael.
Well, if he's going to get 10 points here for the win today, he was 14 behind Michael Schumacher going into the Grand Prix. The computer here at Hockenheim is showing us that Michael Schumacher is in 7th place, which will get him 2 World Championship points. So it's 8 points that he's taken out of him today if he can finish the race where he is.
Yeah, it was, he had to breathe a bit of a sigh of relief there. The Minardi so nearly dropped it and would have wiped him out. And Montoya, they're getting out of shape in turn 2. He's only really racing himself, but he did dirty his tyres going offline as the Minardi was looking seriously wobbly coming out of the final corner. 2nd place man then, Coulthard, truly 6.4 seconds behind him now, and Alonso is beginning to home in on his teammate.
Well, we talk so often about Michael Schumacher being the luckiest driver in Formula One.